Xirtus.
Hey, everybody, tune in to Recent Tartarians.
Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians.
Not that secret, of course. Maybe somebody will come and check us out, guys. So we've got a secret Friday chat, but it's not as secret as Mudflood or something like this. Or we got a bunch of guys here. We got Victor, Bugge, Andres, Xirtus, Stellium7, and I don't know really your name.
That's okay. My name's Alex. My YouTube channel is Conspiracy Music Guru. I'm the music guy.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of brutal. Really. He's the guy who does all the best music that we've ever heard about the actual shape of the planet.
Yeah,
wait, is that the word anymore? I guess you can't use that word anymore, huh?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're aware of my music, but I basically do comedic country music on and basically bash NASA. And I make songs about gravity, the International Space Station hoax, the moon landing hoax, all of these kind of things. And you can find those sort of comedic songs on my channel, but a lot of truthful lyrics within those songs. You know, I make it quite easily digestible for the user in a 5 or 6 minute song. Rather than giving someone a 2-hour documentary on flat Earth, I try and sum up the flat Earth subject in a 6-minute song. You know, that's kind of what I do, and you can see that on Conspiracy Music Guru channel. And so far, it's been well received. You know, far.
From my time at Moffett Field, I might say I don't think you said anything that wasn't true. Most of everything you said was too brutally true. I'm like kind of
in the songs or in real life.
Mostly both.
Yeah.
But the songs, there's an exclusivity of just like, ouch, that hits close to home.
That's what the music's designed for, to sow the seed. You know, I've got a song called "Don't Believe in Gravity" because we all know that mainstream narrative of gravity is absolute nonsense, and I wanted to encapsulate that in a 5 or 6 minute song with the visuals to go along with it, and talking about Newton being a Freemason, and you know, and all of these kind of distorted narratives that we get about gravity, and I try and put that in a song. So I made a song called Don't Believe in Gravity, and then I did another song about satellites being a hoax, another song about flat Earth, another song about the moon landing hoax, and eventually I ended up making an album. And within the flat Earth community, it's been well received. I mean, I think it's a little bit ahead of its time because the world needs to wake up to these things. And once they do, then the album will sell well and I'll be a millionaire.
Yes, the guys like they try to hate us, and they say if you prove you're right, you're gonna make money. It's like everything that we do is connected to the money. What about the where are you guys right now? Right now, in Spain?
We're in Spain. We're in a really interesting place actually. It's called Javia.
Javier.
With an X.
Yeah, it's in Alicante, northern Alicante. It's a beautiful part of the world. We're right by the coast. The World Health Organization tell us that it is the most healthy, one of the healthiest places in the world to live because of its microclimate, meaning it doesn't get too hot, it doesn't get too cold. The temperature is pretty stable all year round. I moved here about 5 years ago. Mike moved here about 8-9 years ago, something like that. We both fell in love with the place. I won't be moving anytime soon. It's beautiful. I'm more creative here. So is Mike, it seems, as well. You've seen his work. Beautiful part of the world. It really is, you know.
Interesting enough, but also a very old part of the world, filled with a lot of ruins. There's a lot of mud floods evidence here. You'll find a river through Valencia called the River, but it's really just a mud path from when there was a mud flood. Most of the buildings here are buried in mud. They say that they weren't Spanish because they were Moorish. Then they say they weren't Moorish because they were Galatian. They say they weren't Galatian now because they were barbarian. They're pretty clearly Tartarian.
Yeah.
And their symbol's the bat. And the bat is the symbol of Batman. And so we're looking at who is the Batman? And we're realizing, okay, like looking at someone contacted us. I lived in Valencia all my life. I went down to Alicante because that's where the Inquisition and the Moorish Empire sent people out. You know who Batman is. I'm like, I've been looking. Is it the Habsburg family? They're like, it's Dracula. It has to do with the Romanov family. It has to do with the killing of mosquitoes who drink blood. They have a whole conspiracy here. But DC comic books tried to sue Valencia for the use of the bat symbol, which they've been using since long before comic books. But
whoever painted it can sue him. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an interesting spot, and everywhere we go, we'll find evidence that is, like they say, okay, well, this has to be older than the thing that it was. We'll find storks flying on top of these yellow brick obelisks built into the side of roads, and then, everywhere you go, there's doing new construction because everyone wants to live here, and they're digging it out, and you have plenty of footage of 200-foot deep, tunnels. There's tunnel systems here right next to the beach.
Yeah. Spain is very old and used to be a place of different battles, and so I wonder if you guys went to Portugal. Portugal is very interesting too.
Haven't yet gone to Portugal. We have people in Portugal. If you go to the tartarynova.com, we have some people that are actually in Portugal right now. I've yet to make it that far west. The whole point of this trip for me is to get further west and see. I already done North Spain. South Spain has Cordoba, Tartessos, literally, So as we get further towards Portugal, they say North Spain is Finisterre, the end of Terra, right?
Mm-hmm.
But South Portugal is actually further west.
Yeah.
First thing we saw when we got here, we got to a lighthouse, and Stellium7, Mike showed us, Ibiza, right from the, you know how things are supposed to work, right? You can't see Ibiza from Spain. It's against the rules, let's put it that way. So it was cool to do. I like breaking rules.
It's against the globalist rules of 8 inches per square mile.
Well, globalists don't really like it when you see flat across the Ibiza, but we did it, and that was really fun.
I see Crimea from my from my apartment, and I cannot even see. I'm not supposed to see it, but I see it.
Really be careful about doing that. Maybe you could close your eyes more. I don't know what to say.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
You're seeing a mirage, they say. It's a mirage.
Well, there you go. You just debunked the globe by looking out of your window.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
All I'm
Also,
saying
just
is
by breathing air pressure.
Yeah. Well, it's refraction though. So.
all I'm gonna do is put some footage of Ibiza up. Okay, that's all I'm gonna do.
How much is the distance? And what is it supposed?
60,
From
70
the lighthouse to Ibiza, 90.36
kilometers.
kilometers.
19, like
90,
90.
almost 100.
almost 100.
Yeah.
Kilometers, that is. So what? 60
And
miles.
at 130 meters elevation, where we were doing it from, it should have between 150 and 200 meters missing.
So how high is Ibiza? What's the top peak? What is that in meters? Can you
I don't
remember?
know off the top of my head,
It's
but
not
there
a
are
big-
2 peaks that are like, I think it's like 450 max, 500 meters or something. And
So not
between
even
them,
as tall as the
between
Mont Blanc.
them is a saddle, and that saddle, the high point of that saddle, if you go on Google Earth and you map it out, the high point is 200 meters. That saddle should be even with the horizon, and you
Right.
can see, because of its height relationship to the peaks, that none of the saddle is missing at all.
Right. Okay.
I
Well,
don't
there
know, it's
you
a
go.
different way.
You debunked the globe.
Magical refraction, I suppose.
Yeah.
But-
Well, what we're proving all the time, and I'm not trying to evangelize a way of looking at things yet, is just to see that the way things have been presented is clearly augmented. They're not the way that they're presenting them. We're able to see that firsthand.
Well, that's if you asked a flat earther, what is your best proof that we live on a flat Earth? Their response should be, we see too far. And there are hundreds of proofs of we see too far. So either it's a a massive ball, which still doesn't make sense, or we live on a flat plane. It's that simple.
Yeah, is it? Have you heard about the plane in Australia, which is like has the record-breaking non-curved railroad, like for 500 kilometers long?
There you go.
Yeah,
There you
and it also has like a 1,000 kilometer wide plane, which is like with the elevation, maximum elevation of 80 meters in difference. So it's like impossible. And there's a plenty of those planes everywhere. So we can, just, mention and like make some cart or map of these, planes, and figure out if there's really a ball structure. It cannot be a ball structure with those type of planes.
And there cannot be flat spaces. If you spoke to a glober about this, they would say that these are just flat spaces on a globe, which doesn't make sense.
Well,
There has to be a curvature calculation.
Yeah, we have to see a drop somewhere at least.
You've got the Bolivian salt flats, which are. Do you know how long the Bolivian?
the uni salt flats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went there and saw it.
vertical, not horizontal.
This is the issue with the glob.
How much more proof do we need, for God's sake?
First off, let go of the word with the E and just call it glob, because there's globalists, and globbling is just a real issue in this world today. If you look at how globbling happens, you start to like lump things together. So you look at all of these globbling, globble. I believe in this whole idea of this big
Like
thing.
globble.
Come
Give me
on.
the mancha.
Glob-
Give me the mancha.
I'm sorry, but it's glob heads. It's not just it's globulists, And it really is a glob if you think of it. It's not. What does Neil deGrasse Tyson call it? A pear-shaped thing? It's a glob.
Well, a pear shape, or it's on a bloat
It's a
spheroid,
glob.
but then
It's a glob. You want a fancy word? It's a glob. It's a single syllabic glob. Okay.
Have you heard his quote when he's talking about Felix Baumgartner's jump? And he's saying that he's actually saying about NASA's curvature of the lens, and he's saying you shouldn't be able to see the curvature from that. That stuff is flat. That's become a T-shirt now. That stuff is flat.
But what really makes it possible to intersect this with everyone else's flat space? Because if you start to really look at it, the idea of realms to these luminaries starts to exist. Why else are they spending so much money looking at them? The radio telescopes and light telescopes are looking for some realm they can exist in. There's some sort of a reason why the Navy and NASA works together, and why submarines are so important in deep space. So when you start looking into it, there probably is something to be said for Guy Constantino's flat space theory, and why and at the end of the day, it's the only way there's going to be a flat anything is if everything is a holographic curve. All these holographic curves are just explanations. So I mean, we're not really arguing with anybody anymore. We're just starting to see how they've been manipulating the story. They'll tell you right off the top. The Guy Constantino is not going to hide there's a firmament.
Yeah.
That's not his game. The game is to teach you that everything's inside out, and to make you believe that there's inside out vacuums, right? Because you're balloons with there's inside out balloons. These blobs. There's a vacuum between them. Okay, it's a cool story. Don't get me wrong. But if you're sober, it doesn't make too much sense. Let's be real. It's.
Thank
Sorry.
Thank you.
Mike, have you been hiking with guys?
I was just going to ask you, Philip, what do you think about the idea of a star fort at 850 meters altitude that's 2/3 covered in mud? How would you explain that?
Well, recently I found out that the mud has some special properties. In fact, clay is one of the best thing to denuclearize the area. So if you made a strike at the area and you want to populate it with the people, you flow the mud, and a couple of years you can populate it.
So wait, you think that there's sort of an energetic population connection? I'm sorry, I don't completely understand. If there's some sort of a resonance there.
Well, if we talk about Tartaria and we see it was severely bombed by something, so it's like a carpet bombing area. Each and every place has craters and stuff like this. So it disappeared, right? In the northern part at least. So it couldn't be more protecting itself. So it gave up, and we don't see any Tartaria anymore, right? And So to populate the area, they should have been, using the mud flood to denuclearize or something. So make less radiation or maybe something like this. Or maybe chemical weapons also. It's the best absorbent you can get. So it's absorbing each and everything, like a disease or chemical weapons, radiation. Just check it.
What we found that was pretty interesting in terms of fertility was Beetlejuice-sized spider webs and spider birthing grounds. I mean, I guess what he meant to say was, have you ever been inside of a star fort? Mike has. I think what he was trying to say.
Well, we were hiking yesterday, 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yeah, you asked me what's up with Starford. I say it probably was cleaned by the mud from all the stuff they dropped on it.
You might be making a really interesting correlation to this, we thought, which was that near that area, a lot of things seem to be growing. There's a lot of goats with babies, we started noticing. In the wild, there's lots of flowers, bright colored, neon, busy gothic, neon colored flowers. And then you had spiders, black and white, the size of, I want to say, marbles, not quite golf balls, but giant and ready to birth more. Thousands of them pouring out from inside of the bricks where they were living. And we went through, okay, so here's the weird thing that I found out. I feel like at this point I should know this, so I apologize for not. But inside of the star forts, because of the way aqueducts and arches work, they're hollow.
Mm-hmm.
They're designed so that you can save space and you can crawl through them, sort of like the Vietnam tunnels. They're pretty crazy. And you have these giant star forts, like giant sea urchin titans that are crawling onto the shore, made of brick. And you can crawl through them, and you can go deep inside of them. And the entire walls, 8 sides or more. And inside you'll find spiders, lots of them. We didn't know exactly what to think about that yet. I don't know.
Maybe there was just communications for for some holes or little tunnels for technological things.
Well, considering what spiders do with spider webs to make geometric patterns and how the star fort was designed, I found it to be kind of a weird correlation. I don't know. What do you call it in Swedish?
And
you had a great word for this in Swedish.
Sammenträff.
Sammenträff.
It means coincide in something
Or
that
two things
happens
that mean-
at the same time.
Sammenträff. Sammenträff. That's a word to remember.
Sammanträffande.
Sammenträffande.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Philip, you have seen Martin Licky, he talks about the tarantula and how the Jesuits have a weird code about the tarantula making their webs. And I have seen in Kirsch's Technasma books that he is studying the tarantula's poison and how to extract it by playing music.
And all the kids in California remember the saying, weaving spiders weave not here, right?
Oh, yeah.
In terms of the Bohemians.
Yeah, that's right above Bohemian Grove, right? That's the
That's
sign.
right inside of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's also a sign that
Yeah.
says it, but that's how it goes down inside.
Yeah.
Have you seen Madonna's Eurovision show?
Fucking hell. Yeah, incredibly satanic and symbolic, no?
Yeah, it's just symbolic. Just each frame. I took each frame and checked it out. So it's like
The whole thing, the whole Eurovision Song Contest in its entirety was symbolic. The pyramids and the all throughout.
Every
act, even there was an act that was dressed up in bondage gear.
we had. It's so strange we brought this up because ABBA became famous through Eurovision, and I think
It goes back a long way. I think we're only starting to see the symbology now. It was
you
probably
seen-
there.
Have you seen Daft Punk's movie Interstellar 5555?
No.
Where it's all about aliens through the Rockefellers who abduct the bodies of singers for Eurovision, and they
Whoa.
put them into some weird occult ritual to open portals. Portals always.
Of course, there'd be a movie about that.
Yeah, it's an anime. They paid I think they paid Bandai to make it or something like that. Yeah. Who made it again? It was like a real anime company made it. I feel bad if I'm sorry to whoever the actual anime.
The whole thing, the whole Eurovision is a huge ritual. That's what it is. It's a
Well, and you
satanic
notice
ritual.
the Jedward, what they did with the the whole thing is a little, I don't know what to call it besides the Dr. Money from, John Hopkins University, the transhumanist transhumanist agenda that they do at Eurovision.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put that anywhere else more
No, well,
subtly.
you shouldn't say anything else.
You can only see it if you've got the eyes, can't you?
She had like 2 songs. First one was her old one with little remix, like just a prayer or something like this, like a prayer. And she was praying in a dress with the nagis depicted on the bottom, and the skull and bones with her head as a bone and one eye covered, and also bones on her chest. So like first song. The second song was about future, and she was depicting the fall of skyscrapers and stuff like this, and all the civilization. Fire, she was burning fire between the songs, and then it's like people came with this masks, breathing mask, after the gas mask.
What is the deal with Max Martin and Dennis Pop and Sweden and ABBA, Ace of Base and Eurovision? You know, how many songs are written by the Swedish producers?
Yeah, they write so much music.
What's up with the Order of the Blacklight? Why are they so into Eurovision? What's their vision for Europe? And why is Israel and Australia involved? Where are they going with it? It's an interesting question. As an American, I'm very curious.
Yeah, Eurovision was always political, but this one is remarkable because the message is clear that like they picking their elites, they brainwashing them, and picking their servants, they brainwashing them, creating some class of homo servantos, those who gonna be serving them, and the rest is just gonna be massacred. So probably the idea of this message that she sends us. Skull and Bones Society is like the right hand of Illuminati, So we got Masons and we got Skull and Bones. So Skull and Bones is like one of the best. They are like after pirates and stuff like this. So
I don't know if you saw that video I did, the Love Boat Beach Patrol with Charlotte Iserbyt, but it's all about how the Charlotte Iserbyt was sent to the Congo, lived in the Congo, and then she ended up the Reaganomics education department head, and her grandparents were Skull and Bones. So we're starting to see the influence in terms of disinformation. I think the agency's department head said, "We'll know when our mission is complete when everything they believe is disinformation."
There you go.
True.
Yeah, that was.
You have that in one of your names.
Yeah, that was a CIA director, wasn't it?
Casey, Dr. Casey.
Yeah, William
Casey.
Casey. Yeah, we'll know our disinformation campaign is complete when everything the American public believes is false. Yeah,
and
I used that in one of my songs. Yeah.
You really gotta listen to some of the conspiracy.
You gotta buy the album.
Honestly, you really ought to.
You ought to buy the album, everyone. It's thing you ever buy to your family and friends.
Because I'm starving right now and I need your money.
Keep begging. We're not going to be
if you're
shy about
into this kind of subject and your phone rings and his song starts to play as your ringtone, it might just change someone's life.
Yeah. That's when you know I've made it, when I've changed somebody's paradigm through a ringtone.
Yeah, how many people did you covered with these ideas of your songs?
What do you mean? How many people?
How many of you recovered from their trauma?
Oh well, I mean,
songs?
my channel has had. I have about 20,000 subscribers. It's had 1.5 million views on my channel solely, but my videos get mirrored. I encourage people to mirror my videos, and there are videos on other channels that have had more views than on my channel. If you collate all the views of all of the mirrors, you're talking millions upon millions upon millions of people that have seen my stuff. And I get comments regularly from people thanking me, blessing me, if they're Christians, for the work that I've done to help them wake up, to help them change their paradigm. Some mothers have even hugged me at Flat Earth conferences and said, "Thank you for your music. I use it to educate my children." So it's being used as an educational tool as well, which I never saw really. I didn't see that coming. But I'm very proud of that, obviously, that it can be used to wake people up. And I get messages frequently that thanking me for changing their lives. So music can be a very powerful tool like that. As I always say, you can't necessarily get somebody to watch a 2-hour documentary on Flat Earth or Gravity or ISS or Moon Landing, but you can get them to listen to a 5-minute comedic song that just sows the seed, and that's all you have to do. If you sow the seed and get them thinking at a later date and let that seed, you can almost watch it sort of flourish in a way. So that's what my music is doing, is sowing the seed. It can be seen on a more superficial level where you can just see it as comedic and satire, but most of the people that watch my stuff get that the lyrical content is nothing but truth, line after line after line. And yeah, I think I've done a beautiful thing with the music, and I'm happy that I could contribute in a musical way to the community. It's been well received. Whether there'll be any more music, I don't know, but you know, it's good music. It's informative. It can teach. It can wake people up. That's why I love music.
Yeah, you just send me a link and I'll post it in the description so people can find your channel, and I'll also post it in the end in this.
I know people personally now who have listened to this stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is actually way more useful than any of the hours that I've spent talking, because like it gets in your head, and you're like, okay. And the thing is that the reason I would bother to mention that I think it's important is because you make people feel like in 3 minutes they're not an accident, but they're actually meant to be. And you know, if everything did that, if you were like, hey, the universe is meant to be this way, and so are you, it would change a lot of people's behavior. So the way he does that really
Exactly
makes me feel pretty impressed.
I wrote a song about that exact thing, about the flat earth reality, changing your paradigm, changing your mindset, and how it makes you behave as a person. The song that I wrote called Don't Let Them Take Your Mind, there's a few lyrics in that about how it makes me treat people with more respect. You know, since my indoctrination was defeated, or something like that, there's a line in there. I treat people how I want to be treated since my indoctrination was defeated, and lines like that, and realizing that there's a creator, and all of these kind of things, and all these poignant lyrics that I put into a 6-minute song that get people thinking. It's changed my life, Flat Earth. Certainly, I went from atheist to creationist just because of Flat Earth, and I've put that all into music, and that's what it's doing. When people listen to that music, it's not going to change everybody's mind. Don't get me wrong, that's never going to happen. But if I could sow the seed if I can wake up one person, I've done my job. But it seems to be waking up more than one person, and that's the beautiful thing about music. It does change your paradigm. It does take you from an atheist to creationist when you understand these types of conspiracies. That's the beautiful thing about music, anyway.
Yeah, I got a Spanish question, guys. What is the most weirdest artifact or building that you've seen in Spain?
Oh, Benidorm. There is a huge, weird architectural, like it's an antiquity tower. Mike, you probably know how to describe it better. What's it called?
Okay, that one's pretty good.
I don't even know the name of it. It's
The upside down.
yeah, it's huge tall towers with a big triangle in the middle, like a wedge. It looks like shaped like a very long M. But it looks high tech.
But it's modern. It's modern.
It looks like a 20-story
something odd
juicer.
about when
There's like Joachim and Boaz and a cone spiraling down between it in the center. It's like a gold pyramid upside down being held up by 2 pillars.
Yeah. What century is it?
This is pretty
modern.
This is a new tower. I mean, this is the one. There's a lot of really great old stuff too, but this is Antiquitech. Somebody who knows what they're doing. They've rebuilt this stuff down here. There's a lot of technology in this area. You'll find plenty of buildings that have collapsed, and they'll have between the 2 of them a basement. They'll have like a big, like there's cathedrals that have collapsed and they've turned into markets. So you'll have like the end of the front, you'll have 2 chromatic windows, and you'll have in between it a metal story, or you'll have some old 13th or 11th century buildings. But what you'll find everywhere, lighthouses, windmills, all this Antiquitech.
But the most important stuff
They're using it now.
is that I found a map on Gallica not that long ago. It shows Spain and Portugal, and it shows that every major city in Spain above the size of Javia, above the size of, let's say, 10,000 people, was a star citadel. I hit it you not. Every single city in Spain and Portugal, star city.
What are the main mud fossils that they mine in Spain?
Well, I mean, Spain has even humanoid fossils, you'll find different kinds of hominids like the Australopithecus or the Heidelbergensis, I think is unique to Atapuerca. But you'll also find seashells, mollusks, starfish, or sea stars, urchins, and large ones, like bigger than cars, bigger than houses, bigger than that probably. And what was craziest is they might be more advanced than that, because you might have had things that crawled out onto the land and stayed that way. He's found things that look like something like pachyderms. We found things with snouts, mountains fossilized with snouts, things with bones, things that are not just invertebrates, you know.
And blood plasma stones lying around these sites crystallize the plasma, the blood, which would contain saline liquid solutions that would form crystals.
Well, think about what blood is, right? It's a saline solution. It's salt water with a lot more iron, a lot more magnesium. It has a bit more of the mineral content, but it's pretty much salt water.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep trying to convince you that they're what? They say they're mollusks in it.
Yeah, well, the bone itself is limestone. So the mountains are made of limestone. If you look at mainstream geology's explanation of what limestone consists of, it's made of coral and exoskeletons and mollusks, and those have been compacted under the sea floor under millions of years' time, and then pushed up by tectonic activity, and that's creating the mountains, as I understand.
Well, but this is where the hypothesis of atheists changes and augments from his, and I like his better, because the problem with a lot of theirs is just like, oh well, something really confused. An iPhone was formed by all the sandstorms on the beach. It doesn't make a lot of sense, you know. I mean, gears and batteries, lithium, all come together. No, sorry, I don't buy it.
You're talking about the idea of mining the Titans.
I'm talking about this idea that they're just kind of formed through this sort of like covalent bonds of randomness.
Right.
And I'm not talking about evolution itself, because you know you could.
It's a hurricane blowing through a scrapyard and building.
I mean, this man's music has evolved. You know, we could use the word properly if we're going to use it. Let's not throw it away. Like his life, he's evolved in his life. But really, when we're talking about something like these things, there's two theories. One is that things started out really simple and they become complex, and there's not a lot of evidence for it, by the way. Otherwise, there's the idea that everything was very, very, very complex, and then eventually it became smaller. We've just done it nanotech. So you have these bigger versions of things like the solar system that became smaller, right? You have things in God's image that became smaller. It's a little different than the way they teach it in school. It just happens to make sense instead. And so looking at your theory, you have these things which are like saline solutions that are combined together into some sort of a being, right? They have a political body that has a hierarchy. At some point, they became thick-skinned, symbiotic pachydermis. And they have cochlear bones. They have heart muscles. I mean, you should see some of the fossilized hearts this guy has come up with. No, I mean, seriously, you've got multiple ones.
What are you talking about with this symbiotic?
Take it.
What?
This is our Joe Rogan, Alex Jones moment.
We're not gonna mention these cooks.
Salute. All right. But no, I mean, okay. To be honest, in a completely sober moment before this happened, because now
You're gonna have to share with him because that's what I got before.
I'm just trying to say, we hiked up a hill. We climbed into the mountain. You can see it tonight. I think there might be a video, might be airing. I don't know. We'll put it out already. We hiked up into a mountain. We went through the cochlear bone, into the eye.
We were in the eye socket.
We went through the eye socket.
We were in the ear.
We didn't go through the ear socket. I remember we
Went
walked
through the eye socket.
Okay. I'm sorry.
You're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, the video that saw tonight. Okay, you'll see it. It makes sense because he's holding the thing.
He
And
keeps,
we're
he
in.
keeps talking about the cochlear part. That's in the inner ear, and that's in my third video.
Yeah.
Where I show there was actually a team of archaeologists that excavated a cave on this mountain. That's the most thoroughly excavated cave
in all of
in
Europe.
and they've gone in and they've 3D mapped it, and there are parts of this cave that look like the cave, the canal structures and the structures that you would find in the inner ear of a creature. It looks like they're fossilized in a much bigger way, but I've never been inside so I can't tell you with my own
Well, it
eyes.
just completely changes everything, right? Because if you think about titans crawling out of the ocean being sea urchins and sea stars, it's acceptable. Even in California, in science class, you can accept the idea of giant octopi, thousands or millions of years ago. You can accept the idea of sea urchins.
I like the process that they trying to sell us, like some type of whale went on the seashore and started walking. Where did he get the legs? I mean,
It's amazing. Imagine a sea elephant that came out on land. I mean, it's freaking crazy. I like it. Like the thing is, you probably could do it if you think about it the right way. You've got this being.
before the mammals, you got the fish. Where fish get the legs? I mean,
No, they're different though, right? So that's the
yeah.
thing. You can't have them separate. So this is the other interesting thing. Squid and octopi have eyeballs, right? Interesting. Humans have eyeballs. Are we related? Not that much. We supposedly evolved separately to have similar things, okay? So either, great sandstorms at Burning Man are producing just fantastic technology like the Timex watch, or there's some sort of archetypical design to things. There just has to be. I mean, just deal with it. And DNA is like the best evidence. It's not the 80s. We know now. You can look at it. You can just friggin' take a computer and look at it and see that there is a damaged sequence, promoter sequence that checks for errors. If DNA is checking for errors, it's not that stupid. So it's just kind of silly to pretend it is. I don't know. I find that junk DNA. I think that's the junk ship that pulls the boat across the ice boat. It's a junker. It's a way cooler thing.
Yeah, they have an ambiguity to that word, right?
Yeah, because it's the most important. Digital Noah's Archive. That's what it is. There's a bunch of information, and we're all holding it, and we have to mutate a little bit in our lifetime in order to store it. But we're not becoming. There's just a limit to what we're able to conceive of, and so we have to follow archetypical values. That's why we follow the shape of what already has come before.
So what about the old sites, construction sites? Have anyone checked about the documentation, maybe photos, maybe pictures that showing that really they constructed it?
The best one I've seen so far is Rounda. I think Rounda
Rhonda.
is one of the one. Anybody who wants to look into something, look into that, because they're saying, okay, the Spanish built it, but no, the Moors built it, but no, the Galatians built it, but no, they're actually this giant clockwork system in all of the logos have been removed, so that it's a completely humanless, de-anthropomorphized monument to alien technology. It's the UN city of 2000 BC, but it has all of this sacred geometrical patterns and bridges that are 300 meters down into the cliffs. They're carved, or if they're not carved, they're assembled by sandstone that's been electromagnetically gravitated together. So if that's a thing,
That's
that's
kind of what we were talking about the graph yesterday, right?
the idea that
Yeah.
things are assembled
this
top
idea.
down versus bottom up. If you think about things being put together instead of taken apart, you don't have to sculpt something. You can just 3D print it out of sandstone.
So we went to a star fort yesterday, and the oldest layer of the star fort is always made out of these solid limestone blocks. And it's not the limestone that's got all the holes going through it. It's the cortical bone. They've broken it up into chunks, and those are the bricks for the lower layer. And then they've got tons of different kinds of grout, between these bricks. And some of the grout that we were looking at had like swirls and concentric rings, and Victor and I were contemplating the idea that maybe that it's soft, and then through some kind of frequency pattern, they're like setting it, and because it didn't look like something that somebody would come along and swirl like that. It had a very organic quality to it,
It looked
but
like
it looked man-made at the
biology.
same
Yeah.
time.
It looked like both artificial and biological. It was kind of weird. I'd never seen something as psychedelic as that, and it was in a wall.
Whilst being sober.
Whilst being sober, yeah. Whilst we were being attacked by seagulls.
Yeah, that was oh gosh.
Andreas-
Don't wander
Andreas
across
really
the
lost his
nests
life.
of baby seagulls. For star-crazed reptiles, it's not good.
But we digress.
Frequently.
So what are the plans? How long you gonna be hanging out in?
I'm leaving tomorrow.
Ah, okay.
I'm going towards Granada. I'm going towards Cordoba. I want to see my way to Tartessos. I'm interested into going to Portugal. As I've been doing this, more and more people are reaching out to me, so we're going to be meeting them along the way. There's a lot of people that are interested in this. We found a guy in Alicante, Cordoba, Granada, and Portugal already. That I'm supposed to. I'm on. So those are the spots so far that I have set. But
Yeah, guys, if you're there, just contact Andreas. Maybe he can find some time and meet you. And
I'm very interested too. That's my exact
Andreas.
point.
That guy.
I mean, let me know.
Oh, yeah, he was talking to the people.
Who the heck is this guy that
Cheers!
about right now?
Cheers, Mike.
Oh,
Cheers. Cheers.
yeah,
The people.
there's got to be many more. Yeah, I will definitely meet
I'm not
the other
going with
Andreas, but that can be dangerous because two Andreases touch. I've had problems before. and
Yeah,
I'm actually-
I've actually had problems with one Andreas.
yeah.
You know, two of them. Holy fuck.
That's how I felt. One Alexander to rule them all. Yeah.
yeah. What about moon landing, son? Did you make any idea of like fooling them or laughing at them for their like device that they sent to the moon or something?
Oh man, did we not just do this? You weren't here for this. Are you gonna put that video out?
Yeah, possibly.
Right.
Well,
We have some information for you that you'll be interested in. A lot to do with Kubrick and with the moon landing.
yeah, we had an interesting discussion about the missing telemetry data, the 700 boxes and the 13,000 reels of telemetry data that were
I'm
magically.
not saying anything.
No, but we, Andreas and I had a conversation earlier. He was, he witnessed or he saw these boxes of data, the reels of telemetry data. He's actually seen these boxes and reels, and shortly after they were deleted or recorded over, and we had a conversation about that.
Before that happened, that was the more interesting point to me.
Yeah,
I was there in David McDonald's at Moffett Field where they kept all the files, and I was like, I bet you I could help you guys fix that, and then they just disappeared. But we've got more to say. I don't want to ruin it. The point is the same. It might as well be something to mention. And I'm not saying that means anything. I'm just saying I was there.
It's questionable. It's an anomaly, whatever you can call it.
when you're
People
questioning
make bad decisions.
when you're questioning the moon landings, and you want some data to prove that they actually went, just give us the data, and they can't provide it.
Do you know which highway in Argentina in Bariloche is named after the room from The Shining room?
237.
That's right, Billy. Go look into the Ruta 237 in Argentina, and that might connect you to some interesting stuff about the landing.
You mean the landscape?
Oh, there's a lot to it. Watch The Shining. Learn about why they use a German typewriter. Where Bariloche is. Why underneath it is Elbasan. Where in Elbasan they build the Atomic Research Lab of Argentina. Why Christina gave that information to the House of Saud after the U.S. government asked them to. I mean, I would say probably Bariloche and Elbasan connect. Oh, if you happen to be in Argentina and you go there, do buy one of their little gourd UFOs or owl statues that they sell. Go to Route 237 in Argentina and find the answers.
There you go.
Truth is out there.
It really is.
Yeah, I hope you guys have a good time, and it was pretty nice talking to you. Maybe we'll chat some more when you come back and stuff like this. So, and would be nice to have your link to your channel so people can find your music. Just send me a link, and
Yeah, no
I'll
problem.
make sure that it's connected.
yeah, have a good time. Today is Friday, so it's night is young.
Yeah. Well,
You know it,
also,
Philip.
God bless you, and shout out to Richard Lopez. God bless him too. I'm really
God
stoked
bless
to
Richard
see
Lopez,
some of the
yes.
footage that I know Memorial Day is going to be
Yeah.
amazing.
Richard sent me a message We have a premiere on Monday.
Oh, really? That would be good.
Richard's one of my favorite people, so I'm really
Memorial
looking
Day
forward to seeing
weekend.
that.
So it's a good day to Memorial Day for Titans of the past.
If there's a dude who
Fallen
connects dots,
Titans.
it's Richard. I'm pretty down. All right.
Yeah. See you guys.
Shout out to Richard Lopez.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hey, everybody, tune in to Recent Tartarians.
Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians.